The dust has finally settled, the battle's over, and we finally have our two last man standing. The Montreal Canadiens, an unexpected team on an unforgettable run, versus the reigning champion Tampa Bay Lightning. Welcome everybody to today's video where I'm going to be breaking down this year's 2021 NHL Stanley Cup Final between the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll be going everything over playoff stats from both teams, certain key matchups, the element of the game of hockey, how each team plays it, and overall my thoughts on the series and who I think will be taking home the Stanley Cup when the dust finally settles in this series. So without any further ado, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We are a fan channel here where we hate no teams, we hate no fan bases. We are a safe place for you to come and just listen to a biased Jets fan share his thoughts on the NHL and the world of hockey. So with all that being said, let's jump into the video and talk about what I think is going to be obviously the important start to this series, and that is the Tampa Bay Lightning's dominance. We all know the Tampa Bay Lightning are without a doubt one of the most dominant teams we've seen in ever when you look at the teams that they've been had. But regardless of the playoff success that they've had, I'm looking at that Columbus sweep a few years ago. Point being, they finally got over the hump last year, were able to win against Dallas, and now you have a team that has won, a team that is hungry and is finally ready to be here again in a back-to-back situation where they want to prove that they are one of the best teams and they can still win regardless of all the failures that they had on getting here in the past. This is a team that has so many all-stars that it's honestly not even fair, and we're not going to get into the fact that they might be 18 or however much $1 million it is over the cap. Point being, this team is still regardlessly one of the deepest teams I think I've ever seen in my lifetime. Talking about the big four playoff performers for the Tampa Bay Lightning in this year's run. Obviously, Kucherov coming in, playing 18 games so far, 5 goals, 22 assists for 27 points. When you think about the fact that these are the first 18 games Kucherov has been able to play all season long and has been able to come in and be this dominant after not playing a single game for the regular season, it just shows why he is one of the greatest players in the National Hockey League right now. But moving on from Kucherov, having an unforgettable playoff run this year so far, Brayden Point, 18 games played so far, 14 goals, 6 assists, 20 points on an absolute tear. Without a doubt, I think the most impactful player on the Tampa Bay Lightning right now, minus their goaltender, Andrei Vasilevskiy. Brayden Point is the real cog in that machine that makes that offense move and tick and be as dangerous as it is. I know you're thinking, Jake, what are you talking about? What team with Kucherov, Point, and Stamkos? We haven't even got through the rest of the depth. They're already deep. But I feel that Point is so crucial to this team that if you plug him out, anything can happen. So I think Brayden Point is out there having a wonderful, spectacular playoff run so far. And then the interesting surprise, I think, is Alex Killorn and Stamkos being tied with 17 points and very similar stat margins in 18 games. Killorn with 8 goals, 9 assists for 17 points, and Stamkos 7 goals, 10 assists for 17 points. Both of these guys are playing fantastic hockey. And the thing is that if I really wanted to, I could fill up an entire graphic with just the entire team that is the Tampa Bay Lightning in their stats, because honestly, they have been playing phenomenal hockey. There's a reason why this team is in the Cup Final right now. They play a great complete game of hockey. They've got the stars and the offense to get them here, and their defense is immaculate, and their goaltending is probably some of the best goaltending we've seen in a very long time. But that doesn't mean that the Montreal Canadiens don't have a great goaltender either back there. Moving on to the Montreal Canadiens' basic playoff stats and their top performers, obviously a very different situation when you look at the type of point totals that the Tampa Bay Lightning are putting up compared to the top point producers so far in this year's playoff run for the Montreal Canadiens. Tyler Toffoli so far, the best performer for the Montreal Canadiens, 17 games played, 5 goals, 9 assists for 14 points. Right behind him, Nick Suzuki with 17 games played, 5 goals, 8 assists for 13 points. And probably one of the biggest surprises of the playoff is Cole Caulfield coming in, being so crucial for them, especially in that last series against the Vegas Golden Knights in the conference final. 15 games played so far for the young rookie, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points, being an absolute gem, a crucial clog in that machine, and just showing why this team is so deadly. Because you might be thinking, looking at this stat sheet compared to the Tampa Bay Lightning stat sheet for their top performers, oh, Jake, these guys are going to get lit up. If you looked at Vegas' stat sheet, you'd be thinking the exact same thing. But what the Habs are doing so well right now isn't the fact that they have these amazing stars that are outplaying everybody. It's the team hockey they've been playing. I've been preaching it, hot garbage. Sports has been preaching it, and every single other analyst and fan of hockey that knows anything about the game, that watches the Habs play this year, sees how good they are. In hockey, it is the most team-based sport probably on the planet. And if every single member on your team buys into a system and plays it to a T, you get the Montreal Canadiens. The Montreal Canadiens don't have to have a bunch of flashy offense and top elite scorers and top elite players players in the league because they've got amazing depth, amazing players that know the role and play to that role perfectly. And that brings me over to, I think, one of the most important things going forward before we even get into the big matchup, which is goaltending, is the fourth line wonders of the Montreal Canadiens. When you look at the fourth line stats that they've been able to put up between Joel Armia, Corey Perry, and Eric Staal, it is just fascinating. Jets fans, we all know how good Joel Armia can be, and I still miss this kid, and I still hate that we had to give him up in that Mason dump, but damn, Habs fans, you guys are just enjoying the best of him right now. So far, Joel Armia coming in, being able to put up 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points on the fourth line. Before this, just to put this into perspective, he was very, very close, other than before Corey Perry and Cole Caulfield had those great tears against Vegas. He was third on the team for points. That's how consistent he had been for them so far, being a crucial guy for them on the penalty kill and everywhere else in between with the defensive end and helping out offensively. And not to mention the acquisition of Eric Staal. Boy, I bet a lot of GMs right now are kicking themselves in the back of the head for not picking up this guy for the price tag that Buffalo offered. An absolute steal, Bergevin making a very crucial, smart pickup and getting him an experienced guy who knows how to win and bringing him in to center a third line with a young, hungry player like Joel Armia, who's still learning how the ropes of the NHL, even though he's getting up there in age, and we're starting to figure out where his role is. He's still, to be able to play with a guy like Eric Staal can really help. And not even to mention an absolute beast, one of the greatest playoff warriors, greatest pests of the last 20 years, I feel like, in my life watching the NHL, and that is Corey Perry. There's a reason why the Dallas Stars went to the Cup Final last year with Corey Perry on their team, and there's a reason why the Montreal Canadiens are going to the Cup Final with Corey Perry on this team this year. When you look at the acquisitions that the Leafs made and guys like Simmons and Thornton, they went with the other way. They didn't go for a guy that had already won the Cup. They wanted old, hungry guys that hadn't won, and they thought that would be enough to put them over the edge. But I think it's shown that you want the guy that's got the experience, because I think every team in the NHL is going to be having a bidding war for Corey Perry's service after the last 2 years he's been able to perform. Considering he's on league minimum deals, if you can bring this guy in and have him be a key cog in your machine for your bottom six, I think it's proven where his value is and how good of a player he still is at that age and how valuable he can be to a team with young talent and emerging talent like the Habs are. But moving over to the most crucial aspect of this series, without a doubt, is going to be your goaltending matchup between Carey Price and Andrei Vasilevskiy. When you look at these guys' stats so far, honestly, not that different when you look at it. And it's honestly kind of crazy when you compare what teams that the Habs have faced and what teams the Lightning have faced and the stats and how similar they are, because Carey Price and Vasilevskiy have been probably some of the best goaltending we've seen in the playoffs for a very long time. If there's anything that the last few years of playoff hockey has shown, is that some of these goaltenders, when they come in, they play the best hockey of their careers. We've always seen that in the NHL, but it's just so refreshing to see it again this year with Carey Price coming in, reverting back to probably, I would say, his international form, almost to what they looked like with the Olympic team way back when, and even in Sochi. He looks fantastic. 17 games played for Carey Price, 12 wins, 5 losses, a 2.02 goals against average, a 9.34 save percentage, and with 1 shutout, compared to Andrei Vasilevskiy's 18 games played, 12 wins, 6 losses, 1.99 goals against average, 9.36 save percentage, and 4 shutouts. Now, obviously, the shutouts is a very key aspect to that over Carey Price, because Andrei Vasilevskiy, when you look at what he brings and how he plays the game and how big he is, he's going to be able to get those games where he can make up that ground that Price can't. Even though Price is a way more, I feel like, dynamic goaltender, Vasilevskiy is massive, and the way he takes up the net is why he's so consistent and so good. Even though I think both these goaltenders are without a doubt fantastic and playing their best hockey, I actually put the edge on Carey Price because of the fact that although Andrei Vasilevskiy is having an outstanding playoff run, compared to the defense that is in front of Montreal and with Montreal in front of Carey Price, and compare that to the defense that is in front of Andrei Vasilevskiy. Now, I'm not trying to clown on Montreal because I know how great their defense is and how underrated it's been with the talent they have. Guys like Ben Sherratt, another ex-Jets fans, coming in and being a crucial cog in that machine. Obviously, he makes mistakes here and there, but I think he's a very crucial part of that team. Jeff Petrie, other guys as well, their defense is playing great. I'm not taking anything away from them, but the star power, again, is in favor of Tampa. So when you look at the fact that the Habs have to buy into that system of winning games that way and having compared to what Andrei Vasilevskiy has and having just an elite team in front of him and just having to be, himself and stop the pucks, because comparing the shot attempts that the Habs can give up at times compared to what the Lightning give up, obviously Carey Price makes those crucial clutch saves way more, I feel like, than Andrei Vasilevskiy, and I feel like that's a huge part of this, is just the way Carey Price has been able to carry that team at times and put the load load, the entire workload of a game, it feels like, on his back and get them that W. So I think that Carey Price edges Andrei Vasilevskiy out in the most important stat going into this series, because you already know it doesn't matter comparing what happened last year, Habs fans, with Vegas, not even last year, last series with Vegas and their star power. If you're able to shut down the Stars, keep Mark Stone, a guy like that, scoreless, if you can do that to any one of those top point producers on Tampa, that's a huge problem in their machine. So I think that the way that the Habs are playing that, kind of gritty style of hockey, even though it's not gritty, it's almost like this modernized trap that's so effective when the team buys into it the way they have, that they're almost unbeatable at this point, really, when you look at them. As a Jets fan, I thought that the Jets were going to win that series in 6 games that second round. Turned out to be a sweep. The first round against the Leafs and the Habs, I had the Leafs winning that series in 5 games. The only time I was able to get even close to predicting the right Habs series was last. I said the Habs would win in 7 games because, honestly, even though I liked Vegas and thought they were the better team, I couldn't bet against the Habs at that point off of the way they played in that performance in the second round after they swept the Winnipeg Jets, my club. And it's not just because the Jets played crap, even though they did and they handed them that to them, they also played dominant hockey. So, at the end of the day, comparing the stats, comparing what I've seen throughout the playoffs from both teams, the competition, and everything that goes into the game of hockey, my Cup Final prediction for the 2021 Stanley Cup Final, I predict that the Montreal Canadiens are going to win the Stanley Cup, bring the Cup back to Canada in 7 games. I think that this is going to be one of those series that's going to be very back and forth. I really don't think any team is really going to have a lead. I think it's really going to go back and forth a lot of the time. There's no one really going to jump up to a 2-game lead, I don't think. I think it's going to be very close, and it's going to be very entertaining, and I feel like the reason for that is just off goaltending alone. Even though I think Carey Price does edge out Andrei Vasilevskiy just off of the performance I've seen this year compared to Vasilevskiy, I got to say, these teams, the way they're playing, I'm very excited for this, but I think the Habs are finally going to do it. They're going to bring the Cup home, and I got to have faith in them, man. Bring the Cup to Canada, bring it home. It's time to do it, Habs fans. Let's go do it for Canada. With all that being said, I'm going to end the video here. I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this playoff so far, what your predictions were, what series you were most off out compared to everything else that happened in the playoffs. Let me know all your thoughts and share everything you have with the playoffs and everything down in the description below as always. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and check out all the links down in the description below to help support this channel even further. Thank you all for watching this video. It really doesn't mean a lot. And also, just going into these playoffs, thank you guys so much for all the support that is generated for my channel throughout the playoffs with the Jets run and everything else that has happened. It means the world to me. I never expected this type of growth. I started this in COVID just to be a fun way to talk hockey in a time where I was bored out of my mind at home. So thank you all so much for sticking around, watching this content, and helping this channel grow. It means the world to me. With all that being said, peace, love, and positivity to all of you beautiful people out there, regardless to where you are in the world. I will see you all in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and bye-bye. Also, go Habs, go.